Our dog Isabel just passed away after 16 years and we're really sad and we really miss her. So we're thinking of getting a new puppy.
If a 6-week-old puppy comes over and licks your face, you go, that was nice. You're fun to live with. You make life more enjoyable. We're going to keep you just because it's nice to have you around.
When you're touching something which is friendly and soft and pleasing, it starts a whole change in a set of hormones, including oxytocin, and it also starts a reduction of the corticosteroids, which are stress hormones. There's research which shows that the face of a puppy is distorted in the way that the face of a young human infant is, and it brings out this caring response in you. And furthermore, the very smell of a puppy is very similar to the smell of an infant human. And even though you're not consciously aware that you are responding to that smell, you do.
Rescues are our favorite breed of dog. My mom really wants a small dog that she can get fit with, but I really want a bulldog that is slobbery and I can cuddle with. Clearly there's still a lot of research we need to do to find the right puppy for our family.
Getting a puppy can be a very exciting experience for many people. So one of the most important things that I want to tell people is that choosing the right puppy for you and your family is really important. Often people pick a puppy and they don't take into consideration what is the nature of that breed. Is it suitable for the lifestyle that they're living? If they're living in a condo, is this a dog that was primarily bred to herd sheep? They have to be picking something that's going to be suitable for their lifestyle now, not something that they have in their mind as a dream.
My boyfriend and I chose a golden doodle because we have known a few different golden doodles and they are a fantastic breed. We definitely did do our research. Every dog and every breed has a lifestyle that they will best fit in.
There's a lot of evidence which talks about the fact that people are happiest if they select a dog which is appropriate for their personality. When I'm considering what my next breed of dog is going to be, and I look at a whole lot of adult dogs, because that's going to tell you what the dog's behavior is going to be like and that sort of thing. And remember, your dog's going to be an adult for a long time. He's going to be that puppy for 4 to 6 months. I wrote a book called Why We Love the Dogs We Do, which is based on a huge study. I mean, we looked at over 6,000 people. But there seems to be a couple of little rules of thumb. You should not pick a dog simply because the dog's in the media.
I think people are a little disillusioned when they get a Chihuahua. They think they're looking for a dog to carry around in your purse. What people don't necessarily realize is Chihuahuas are just like any other dog. Whether they're 2 pounds, 3 pounds, or 6 pounds, if you don't train them, if you don't socialize them properly, you're going to run into issues.
So one of the things people really have to do is they really have to at least do some minimal amount of reading about the particular breeds of dogs.
So different breeds have different issues. We know, for example, in Golden Retrievers or Lab Retrievers, or certainly in German Shepherds, we may see hip dysplasia as an issue. But we know that with good breeding and with what a lot of breeders have done, they've tried to do a great job at trying to decrease those inherent risks. In terms of bulldogs that have more of a squishy face, we may notice more breathing or respiratory issues specifically with them, but not necessarily anything that usually would require surgical correction. So just because they are a bulldog doesn't automatically mean that they will have a problem with respect to breathing or something along those lines.
The other things that you want to look for when you're picking up a puppy, of course, is what type of time you have for the puppy. So if you don't have a lot of time to be dedicated to long walks in the forest or training exercises and frisbee and that sort of thing, you shouldn't be picking a dog that is going to need that type of activity.
So Remy, at 8 weeks old, I met him and I was looking for a busy companion because I like to do agility, I like to do dog sports.
Tandem's a very playful dog. These dogs need a lot of exercise. They're full of energy. They just love to play with toys all the time. They're just a wonderful breed.
The cost of ownership, of course, is incredibly important to consider. So providing medical care, food, all of the little things we love to give our pets is a cost that we need to be able to take into account and budget for and know that we're capable of managing on an ongoing basis.
Even if you want a brand new puppy as cute as this one, only 8 weeks old, 9 weeks old when they come home from the litter, there are rescue options for this. Many times shelters and other rescue organizations will take in dogs that are actually expecting. So it is possible to adopt and save a life of an 8 or 9 week old dog and still get the puppyhood experience. So don't rule out rescue just because you want a young 8 or 9 week old puppy. If you're going to look at breeders, look for breeders that belong to reputable organizations like the Canadian Kennel Club. I would definitely look for breeders that are willing to let you come visit their home or their breeding facility. I do suggest meeting the mom and dad of the litter if possible.
Not only you need to pick the right breed, to pick the right breeder and a good source, someone who's going to raise your puppy from 0 to 8 weeks in the best possible fashion. You want one that's been handled by the breeder, that's been introduced to novel stimuli from the time that its eyes are open, so that you'll have a puppy that's going to be well adjusted to your family and your children, grandchildren, and neighbors.
It's also important that if you're meeting a breeder, that you ask them, have they had issues with their particular dogs, with their line, with that breed? Have they seen any problems with respect to anything specifically? And most breeders are very honest. They'll also show you some of the genetic testing that they've done to try and outbreed some of these problems within their particular dogs.
We found the breeder online and we had reached out to a couple of the previous dog owners. We had seen a lot of pictures. We had visited the farm where they are bred. They only do 1 to 2 litters per year, so it's very limited. That's something you really need to look out for. If a breeder is pumping out 5 to 10 litters a year, it's probably going to be a red flag.
I'm a director of Helping Homeless Pets and of Tiny Paws Dog Rescue. Just look at where the dogs are coming from. When you get a dog from a pet store, look at, be responsible. Check out, can you see the mother, father? There are responsible breeders out there, but you need to do your research. If they won't let you see the mother and father and where the litters come from, really stop and think. On Kijiji, if they meet you in a parking lot, then really stop and think, okay, where is that dog coming from? And that's all we ask for people to do.
So having a puppy come to the house is a great thing. Initially, they'll come in usually at around 9 weeks, 12 weeks, and 16 weeks, and then it'll depend on other things that they may need, extra vaccinations, possibly a pre-spay or neuter appointment around 6 months. Usually it's 1 to 2 years thereafter, but on those initial appointments, it's usually 3 sets of vaccines that they will receive, which includes a physical examination. It's really important for them to be dewormed once a month up to the age of 6 months, and multiple stool samples may need to be attained as well. Certainly that first year is probably your most expensive year because you're coming in frequently, and then it tends to decrease.
So what do you do when you want to prepare for a puppy? You want to make sure that you have a secure environment, that your puppy doesn't have free reign of the entire home, because that will be too much for it. You want to make sure that you've set up an appropriate potty area that's easy to access. You also want to set up a safe area, either a crate or a penned-off area where your puppy can settle down and where they can learn to be alone. One of the things that people are often doing is they take a lot of time off work to help raise their puppy for the first maybe week or 2, and then the puppy is shocked to find that it's left for a couple hours a day.
Before you bring your puppy home, make sure that you puppy-proof the whole place. Make sure that the outlets have child-proof covers on them. Make sure that if there's a steep staircase, it's blocked off. However, you will not be having that puppy outside of your sight for probably at least the first year. You need to know where they are at all times. And of course, keep everything out of reach that you don't want them to have. If you have children, as difficult as it sounds, it's 100% supervision for a child under about the age 7 or 8. You need to be there with them at all times. And if you can't do that, put the puppy on a small little house leash, keep it with you, or pop them into their crate.
One of the other sides of puppy-proofing a house is to eliminate the things they could get themselves in harm's way. So for instance, things such as plants. Many plants are poisonous. There are so many things that can be poisonous to the animals that we need to simply put away, because as much as you're going to put your focus on your puppy and doing everything you possibly can, turn your back for 1 minute, if that poison is there, it's a real true risk.
So now you picked your puppy and here you are, you're on your way home, and it's actually one of those moments that people talk about where you've got this great little dog and you sort of think, oh my gosh, now what? Well, right now I'm living with a year-old Border Terrier. Great little dog, but when I brought him home at 8 weeks, the size of a hamster, me being a trainer, I was also still quite overwhelmed. So I used some X-Pens, some gates. I got him crate trained. That was my number one thing, to make sure that he felt comfortable being in his crate by himself. You know, when you bring them home 10, 11 weeks old, they're sleeping up to 20 hours a day. The 4 hours that they're awake, that's another story. They're very active. I like to teach a dog to tug on a toy. So have a tug toy, play tug with the dog, and teach it a proper drop. The other thing is to make sure they're eating properly, that they have proper bowel movements, that they're eliminating properly, everything that's all normal. You have to know what normal is. Look inside your puppy's ears, look inside the mouth, and know what normal is. If you don't know what normal is, you won't know what abnormal is, okay? So if you teach your puppy to eat the required meals and don't sort of free feed them where they choose, it's the first indicator of ill health later on.
And you also want to consider that your job as a puppy parent is to try and mold your puppy to be the dog that you want it to be. Start right away to teach the puppy some basic obedience skills, such as sit or lie down, so that you can start your development of a communication with your dog so that they learn how to follow through on what you would like them to do. It's so important for a young puppy to learn how to achieve some of its goals. In the early phases, people are trying to tell me about how their puppy is biting at them. They're very frustrated. They seem like the puppy doesn't like them. And very often through the course of the training, the puppies learn how to communicate that they want out of their pen in a better fashion, perhaps sitting, looking at their owner, giving focus. And that through this stage of communication, the puppies become less frustrated with the fact that they cannot seem to get through to us.
So in the research for my book, what I have noticed is that there is a very distinct trend in dog training. It's a trend towards reward-based. Things that can be interpreted as rewards can be treats or toys, but there's also just affection, praise, or words that the dogs want to hear in a tone of voice. And holding that squeaky toy in front of them, you can get them to do just about anything. Even opening the door to the backyard is a reward-based training. When it comes to training puppies, I find that if you spend all your time saying no to a puppy, you have absolutely no energy left to actually guide them towards where you would like them to be, what you would like them to chew, what you would like them to have as great behaviors.
Puppies need lots of toys. Certainly what we would say sustained release toys. So you can feed them from a Kong or a tricky treat ball or something like that in order to help them adjust to being left alone. These are all things to consider with a puppy.
I'm doing my honors thesis on the importance of early socialization for puppies during the fear onset stage, which is between 7 and 14 to 16 weeks, and the impact that this will have on their long-term development. It's really important to get the puppy socialized as much as possible during that stage, because things that they're introduced to in a positive and confident way during that age will help them have a better resilience and less stress when they encounter it when they're older. By socializing these puppies at a really early age, we're building their confidence, which will help keep the stress level down and fear down of novel experiences. People, men, women, and children, puppies of different breeds and sizes, loud sound, any kind of novel experience. If they learn that they can trust their owners and be confident in these situations, they're less likely to be fearful when they encounter them at an older age. Fear is the #1 cause of bites that we see in puppies. So the more confidence that we build in the puppies, the less fear that we'll see in them when they're older. If they are in react mode, if they're in a fear state, all the resources go to self-preservation. So therefore it has shut down the communications to the brain where the neurons were allowed to fire to learn. So it is physically incapable for the brain to take on new information if the dog is in a fearful state. I specialize in behavioral issues. I deal a lot in aggression and with the Chihuahua rescue that I work with the dogs that come from the OSPCA, we're trying to change their look on the world. But when we bring them in as puppies, in the first week, they might come in very tentative, going, what's all this novel stimulus? What are all these puppies and people? It's all very scary to them. Just 6 weeks later, we see such a huge difference just based on that confidence level that we see. A fearful puppy, a shy puppy that has gained the confidence and now can greet all these new puppies that are now in its class and say, okay, this is good. I know that you're not a threat to me. Our biggest goal is to create a happier dog with a confident owner, the strong bond, so that we don't get surrenders to the Humane Society's.
First thing I would do is take your puppy to a puppy class, something similar to what we do, which is a puppy learn and play class, where we allow the puppies to socialize with other puppies, perhaps some older, mature dogs that are good around puppies. The key thing is the socialization. We do not focus on obedience, although everything we do has an obedience element to it. So we socialize them to different scary objects that they might not normally see. We encourage children to come to our puppy learn and play classes.
Socialization isn't just exposure, it's good exposure. Exposure to children that are gentle. Taking your puppy and letting it be poked at and prodded at by young children might not show up right away as this dog becomes afraid of children. But those early memories last in a dog. That's what the socialization period is all about. It's an imprint period. So socialization should be done in a controlled fashion. Puppy socialization classes should be there to assist you in helping your puppy learn how to be a good social dog and get along with other dogs, small, big, furry, or smooth-coated. Puppies need to be exposed to all different types of puppies, not just their own breed.
What we're also concerned about is early traumatic experiences. So for example, let's say this puppy did go to the dog park and had a bad experience during this window. That can have a long-lasting negative effect on the dog's temperament. However, in a puppy class, all the owners are on the same page.
So in terms of activity with puppies, again, the best thing to do is to start small. So in the home environment, just small amount of retrieval type devices within the house work great. If you have a backyard or a porch area where you can extend that to, that's great as well. You have to be really careful with running, especially in large breed dogs. So anything before 15 months, if there's chronic concussion on those joints, it can have an effect and possibly predispose those dogs to arthritis or joint issues, especially within the elbow, the hips, possibly the knees.
I do think it's a really important thing to have puppies have social interaction. Socializing doesn't mean walking down the same street to the same park, you know, meeting the same people, the same dogs at the same time of day. What it means is that they need to be exposed to noise and various terrains. So have your puppy, once it's vaccinated and okayed by the vet, have it going on a bit of a hike, going over a beach and over some cobblestones. And so it uses its whole body. If you live on a quiet street, take it for a walk on a leash on a busier street. And these are the experiences that will really help the puppy later on know that if something unusual happens, they're able to cope.
Okay, what we're looking for here is we're looking for the puppies in terms of their play style. What's a good play? What's good play and what's bad play? All right? Well, it's not so much bad play as we're looking at when do we want to interrupt. Well, I'm going to put my hand through here right now just to check. And nobody's really touching me with their teeth, so I'm not concerned about that. We like to see nice play in terms of they're playing a lot of bitey face. That's nice play. What am I seeing? Does Wally consider that to be good play or bad play? It was good play, he's gone back.
Good puppy play should feature dogs that both look comfortable with relaxed body language. So we like to look for dogs that sort of are bouncing around like bunny rabbits, who look like jello. That's soft body language in play. Now, we should also look for reciprocal play. So for example, do both dogs look like they're having a good time in puppy play? If they're both having fun, then good play can look pretty rough. There could be a lot of mouthing and biting. They use their teeth on each other quite a bit, and you'll see puppies biting each other's ears, tails, feet. But if both puppies are having a good time, that's healthy. And there'll be a lot of wrestling. There are a few signs to watch out for too that indicate good play. Puppies will often do something called a play bow, and the play bow behavior does extend into adulthood. So if you see the dog with the rear end up in the air, tail wagging, that is a sign of good intentions. There are usually two things that new puppy owners are most concerned about. And the two things that I hear about is, ouch, my puppy keeps on biting me. And the second is, I gotta get this dog house trained as fast as possible. So maybe let's talk about house training first. So at a young age, at 8 or 9 weeks, they can hold it for somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 hours. So it's advisable to set a schedule for your dog and take your dog out during waking hours every 2 hours, so that if they eliminate outside, that's the behavior we're looking for. We can reward that behavior on the spot. So promptly praise and treat your dog with a delicious treat if they eliminate outside. And if you do it on a schedule, you're more likely to get them doing it outside than inside. Most dogs will refuse to eliminate in their crate because they don't want to soil their bed. So that's a great place to put your puppy when you're busy. A lot of puppy owners who get their brand new dog at 8 weeks old think their puppy has an aggression problem. That is because viciously all this puppy does is bite my socks, bite my ankles, bite the edge of my pants, bite my hand. Help, do I have an aggressive dog? And 99.99% of the time, this is not true. This is normal. They will outgrow this phase. It is a developmental thing. We like to teach people that training is not just something they do a few minutes per day. It's not something you do a few minutes per day and forget about it, because the reality is all puppies, all dogs, they're learning 24/7, 7 days a week.
I still think a bulldog is the perfect dog for me. I've contacted a few rescue organizations to try and figure that out. If you would like to learn more about picking and parenting your own puppy, log on to talonhounds.ca.
Well, there's a girl working there serving whiskey, beer, and wine. She got a ponytail hair and a walk that's so divine. She's the cutest little baby that I ever met. She can blow bubble gum and smoke a cigarette in a crazy little place where they're gonna be rocking tonight. We're gonna rock. We're gonna rock. We're gonna rock.